I thank the Whitlam Institute for establishing this series and for inviting me to speak on two matters in which I have a particular interest: the transformative legacy of the Whitlam Labor government and the vital importance of legal assistance in promoting equality before the law.
While there's much to admire about Gough, I share the view of many commentators that his legacy remains in his reforms to the Australian legal framework, federal legislations, institutions and concepts that underpin civil society in Australia today and share a unifying theme to improve the lives of every Australian.
As I said, I've been through the Alice Springs and the Darwin correctional facilities, and for me, addressing the shameful rates of which First Nations people are locked up is personal. I've seen firsthand my own family locked up when they shouldn't be, locked up when they could have been referred to a program and diverted away from the criminal justice system, locked up because the law unfairly disadvantages them, locked up because of discriminatory practices ingrained in racism.
The justice system, as we call it in Australia, does not deliver justice to Indigenous people. And I can say this as somebody that's been in this system for a long time.
What I find to be a very disturbing and continuing to be a crisis in this country, and that is the disproportionate rate of First Nations people in our prisons.
The approach of the family law courts has been rapidly transforming. So the conversation, to my mind, also needs to include things around challenges to service design and maybe funding models that are different to our traditional models that will ensure that families who experience family violence do receive the best lawyering and outcomes possible.
And unfortunately, whenever there are cuts to legal aid, the impact, I think, is most keenly felt by women and their children, and especially women and their children who are trying to escape abuse.
We need to understand the complex nature of culture and racism in order to think critically about effective legal services for culturally and linguistically diverse women experiencing domestic and family violence.
I know that much of what has been spoken about today is certainly easier said than done. It's a journey, but we're starting to see positive change that will improve the outcomes for First Nations people.